Coming up, the Braves blow things open in extra innings. This is Locked On Game to Game, MLB.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. Local experts join us every single day to recap all of the action for you from yesterday across Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. The Braves and Phillies went scoreless into extra innings, but then Atlanta's offense scored 5 runs in the 10th to secure a win in Philly. Locked On Phillies recaps that extra innings loss.
The Phillies lose to the Braves again, and that was an absolutely embarrassing way to end that game. Aaron Nola gives you a great start. The bullpen's fine to get you to the point where you're in extra innings. And sure, you gave up 1 run already in extra innings, but Kyle Schwarber having a ball hit right at him and just not making a play on it, having it go off his glove, like you're a professional outfielder, or at least you're supposed to be. He's literally he's the worst fielder in baseball. He can't be in left field anymore. I don't care about the home runs he hits. I don't care what he brings as a leadoff hitter. You have to start Christian Pache in left field over him. I can't watch more Kyle Schwarber defense. And the offense for this team in general has been abysmal for the past couple games. They need to get back into the hitting swing of things, and they need a different left fielder out there. I can't watch more of Kyle Schwarber not getting the routine balls that guys in my softball league would get to. I can't do it. We're going to talk more about it on the next episode with Locked On Phillies.
The Diamondbacks made a quick stop in Washington to make up a game against the Nationals, and a late home run propelled Arizona to a win. Locked On Nationals has the losing side in D.C.
Your Washington Nationals lose of a score of 5-3 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ryan Clary from the Locked On Nationals here. You can catch us over on YouTube at Locked On Nationals. Hit subscribe and whatever else as well. Jake Irvin started today. I talked about him in today's show, and Jake Irvin needed a good start for me to be a believer still in him as a starter. And he did just that. 6 innings pitched today. He looked really good. Only 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, and 1 earned run. No home runs in today's affair. Looked really good. Looked really impressive in my mind. But the star of the game had to be Riley Adams. This guy has an OPS now of up to 960 on this season. He's batting 300. This guy's hitting for power. He's doing all the right things. And really, should we start to have Riley Adams bat a little bit more? We'll talk about that over on Locked On Nationals, your team every day.
Today's edition of Locked On Game to Game is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball season's in full swing, so it's no better time for you to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers right now get a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just have to head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon to join today. You don't want to miss your chance to snag that no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in bonus bets back. FanDuel is an official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Welcome back. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. The Twins shut out the Red Sox to get to 500 on the season, and they've kept their lead in the AL Central as well. Our Locked On hosts with both teams go over everything for you post-game.
Frustrating day for the Red Sox today as they got blanked 6-0 in the series finale against the Twins. Twins pitcher Joe Ryan deserves a ton of credit for his performance. He pitched a complete game shutout, striking out 9 Red Sox hitters and only giving up 3 hits. One of those hits came from rookie David Hamilton, who made his debut at shortstop today and was probably really excited that was his first hit in the majors, and so I'm happy for him. Another person who made a debut today was Brandon Walter, who pitched in the game. He came in relief of Justin Garza in the second inning. Looked a little bit rough at first, but once he was able to settle in, he looked good the rest of the game, giving up just 3 earned runs and pitching into the 8th inning. So he did pitch for the majority of the game, and his family was there to see it. And so that's another exciting and positive takeaway from this game. But overall, definitely a very frustrating last couple games with the way the Red Sox looked in the first 2 games of this series. So just bounce back and take 2 in Chicago.
The story of the day Thursday begins and ends with Joe Ryan throwing the Twins' first complete game since Jose Barrios against the White Sox 1,841 days ago. It's the 12th 9-inning complete game in MLB this season and 16th of any variety or any length. The 6-0 win capped a 5-5 homestand, which was at times hideous and at times kind of inspiring-ish. Anyway, Correa and Buxton with first inning home runs. Buck adds one in the third, and that's all the support that Joe Ryan needed with 83 of his 112 pitches going for strikes. That's the most strikes since Scott Baker against the Dodgers back in 2011. On June 29th, he had 87 strikes. Detroit coming up next. Twins looking for revenge in Motown after the Tigers embarrassed the Twins, taking 3 of 4 last weekend. The Twins, here's the stat you won't hear anywhere else. Twins lead MLB with 26 pinch hit plate appearances before the 7th inning. Next closest is Detroit with 21. Nobody else has more than 15. We'll catch you.
The Athletics walked in 3 Guardian runs on Thursday to help Cleveland put the game out of reach in the 8th inning. Our Locked On Guardians host goes over an easier than expected win over Oakland.
Nearly 3 months of the entire 2023 season, but the Cleveland Guardians finally have their first sweep of the year. They won 3 straight against the Oakland Athletics, a 6-1 victory on Thursday to finish the series out. They were able to spread it out late thanks to some rough relief pitching from the Oakland Athletics, but it did allow the Guardians to stay away from their best 3 relievers. No Emmanuel Clase, no Sam Henches, no Trevor Stephan. They didn't even need a whole lot of hits to do it, and they were able to get by with the win without a great start from Logan Allen. The bullpen had to cover quite a bit of it. He did recover decently, but overall, finally a comfortable win for the Guardians and getting a sweep over a team they shouldn't have had a hard time with all season long. Every game up until now against the Athletics had been a 1-run game. This finally wasn't. The Guardians finally get their first sweep of the season, and they did so overcoming kind of a rough start. So all good things for them as they head into the weekend facing the Milwaukee Brewers. Stay tuned to Locked On Guardians for more.
The Mariners made easy work of the Yankees, scoring 10 runs on their way to victory over New York. Locked On local hosts have more after Seattle's win.
Domingo Germán needed a bounce-back start. He looked terrible against the Red Sox on Friday, and he needed a big performance on Thursday night against the Seattle Mariners. He did not do that. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked On Yankees, and Domingo Germán had probably the worst start of his career at this point. He gave up 10 runs. Now, the good news is he gave up all 10 runs. Score was 10-2. And the other pitchers...
That's it for this edition of Locked On Game to Game MLB. As always, we thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On MLB and your favorite team's Locked On podcast on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts from. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.